Kev, before we deal with the interesting outs, new face for the first time this year, Logan Evans. What do you think and what do you like about him?
Yeah, well, look, we've obviously we've had Logan train with us right through the summer as well, so we've had a lot of opportunity to watch him and see him, and we're really quite excited about his pre-season. If I'm being completely honest, we thought he was training really well and at a really good level. You know, he had some challenges through his draft year. I think if you can dig a little deep, you find out what his challenges were in that year. They were pretty hard for a young person to handle. He's come in and trained. He's played really well in his games in the SANFL. He thoroughly deserves an opportunity. We're really bullish about his future, to be honest.
Were you looking for a defender like him who's noted for being able to work at ground level and speed and lockdown on someone?
He's got a really good mix. He's got good size. He can run. He kicks the ball really well. He's a smart user with the footy. He's got lots of things around him that we really like. Along with like Miles Bergman type of player, we think those type of players are a little bit more the norm today. Having a flexibility to be able to play a bit taller, a bit smaller, on the ground, in the air.
Did you expect him to play so soon?
Not so soon, but he's played pretty well. So I never put a timeline on young players. I've always been very bullish around picking young people when they're ready, and if they look ready, 2 weeks, is that too long? Is it not enough? We've seen him for 6 months, clearly, so we've seen his body at work, and he missed a bit of time with the back, but basically since he's been back, he's played really well.
I think it was about a week ago you were talking about how excited you were to have your midfield group together, and included Ivan. A week later, he's not in the team. What happened?
To be fair, he's battled since he's been back from surgery with his form, and so that coincides a little bit, missing a bit of time. So maybe just some continuity of playing the game and being in the game. We're really optimistic around Sweetie though too, and Viz. To be fair, we think, I've said this a number of times this year, we think we've got a really even group of 3 rucks, and Sweetie's form, demanded to get picked, and Ivan's form didn't demand to stay in the side.
I was just going to say, is it a positive or does it concern you that we're this far into the season and you might not know who your first choice ruckman is?
Depends what lens you're looking through. We look through it from having availability with 3 rucks that we think are pretty even. If you're looking through the lenses, do you want an absolute standout ruck, Max Gorn? Well, not many clubs have got that type of ruckman available to them. We're really comfortable with where we sit with our rucks, so I think they're all very capable.
How impressed were you with Sweet's form in the SANFL?
He played a really, really good game. He does that at SANFL level. He dominates SANFL level. That's why we got him. We think he's better than a second-tier player. We think he's an AFL player, and we also think the same about Ivan, and I think long-term Vizentini will be a very, very good ruckman.
How's he with each other?
Yeah, we've got a bit to still get through. He's no lock just yet, but we'll make sure he pulls up fine. I mean, we don't want to make any mistakes. He's at that stage of his career with the calf injuries and stuff. You get it wrong, it can be really bad. So we've got to be very mindful. We'll see him this morning. Won't do that much this morning. It's more about how he pulls up tomorrow and where we're at before we actually finally tick it off. We're optimistic, but that doesn't mean he'll get there.
Is that the only one you're worried about today, or are there others?
No, well, we've got there could be others, because we've had a couple sick this week, so that happens at this time of the year. So far, none of them too much to worry about from an AFL point of view, but it does spread really quick when you get to this stage of the year.
Have you had to have a chat with Zach Butters this week about how he's reacting to on-field?
Yeah, this and every other week we certainly talk with Zach and our players around, and Josh certainly does with all of them, but Zach's in the middle of that real challenge, and he'll get through it. He'll be fine. He'll work his way through what the expectation of a good player is, and that is that they get attention. And he knows that, and he's taken it on head on. He knows it's a bit frustrating for him at the moment, but what I do know about Zach, there's going to be a pretty determined response every time he goes out there to play. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to have a great game all the time, but he'll give everything he's got to try and make that happen.
So how do you advise him? I mean, the heavy tags are coming to him. I guess what's your advice to him and how to break that tag?
Yeah, one of the pieces of advice I gave him said, it's a great thing. Mate, you're recognised as a great player in this competition. You should expect that to have happened and want it to happen almost, because his own belief is that he can be a very good player. So now he's just got the challenge of working through it. There's so many players that I've been through over my time that work through that, and they eventually, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it's a pretty big task to have someone hanging on your back, holding you, wrapping their arms, and I mean, we're coming up against one this week, Lockie. I mean, Lockie Neal plays that way, gets that type of tension most weeks. Zach's just starting to experience what that's like a little bit. So you've just got to work your way through it.
In terms of the comment post-game about looking a little bit lethargic, have you identified, apart from potentially the buy, as to why that might have been?
Yeah, no, I think our energy was down a little bit in that game. I mean, I think coming off a long break may or may not have something good. We tend to be, if we win, it's not the issue. If we lose, it can be a bit of the issue. But I think for us, it's about our response and training hard and being prepared to get back to our best. We trained pretty well leading into the GWS game. I didn't think there was there wasn't an obvious point in that, but maybe the opposition held us up and slowed us down a bit much, which made us look a little lethargic too.
Midfield beaten again. How big's the challenge of Duncan?
You like using that word again, don't you?
Well, the final quarter against Carlton and then against the Giants.
Yeah.
So how big is that focus against?
Yeah, well, more often than not, games won and lost in that battle, and we all recognise that. Every team in the comp recognises that. So we need to get our hands dirty and get to work and make sure that we're very comfortable with our midfield 6 or 7 players that we play through. They're very much capable of handling and playing well against a Brisbane's best 6 or 7, which is pretty damn good. But so it'll be a real challenge. But if you don't get on top around the ball, clearly you lose territory, you lose the game that you like to play.
We expect Connor to be better for having a run last
Yeah,
week.
he has to be better. I mean, he's had a big go on. He's been injured, he's had a baby, he's had a bye, he's come back, he's played one game in about 6 weeks. Give him a little bit of slack. He's a pretty good player.
Can you see the opposition use your pre-game as part of their training drill, playing them to tear us apart, like Chris Fagan did it?
Okay. Fags likes that song. I know he does. He tells me that.
You then seek your fans to offer something extra because they've already got the opposition declaring they're intimidated by coming in?
No, I don't. Look, I don't get into that stuff. I mean, you prepare your team the best you can, and I have respect for the Brisbane Lions and however they prepare. Good, that's up to them. But our fans are always loud, and we want to make sure that they know they're back at Adelaide Oval, and if we can play good footy. I tell you what happens: if we play good footy, our fans will get loud with us.
Chris is indicating that he's quite happy to make it a scoreboard game, working through the corridor, play up to the score. Are you happy to engage in a shootout, so to speak?
Should be fun then. Should be fun. I mean, because that's we do it consistently. We play our style of football. We don't always get it absolutely right, but I don't shy away from the fact the way we play our game. We're not going to shy away from that playing against Brisbane.
You talk about you needing your players to get their hands dirty. There seemed to be criticism of some of your premier midfielders after that game against GWS that was just if they needed to show a bit more. How have they taken that challenge? Yeah,
well, like every group in this competition, they're pretty proud and they'll want to respond, and I expect that they will.
Are you confident Jeremy found the form he needed last week?
Yeah, he played really well last week. I mean, Jeremy's a very, very good AFL player. Everyone has fluctuations in their form, and he's had a couple of them. But honestly, if we're playing well, Jeremy's playing normally.
What do you make of how your forward line's going as a collective at the moment?
Not as well as it needs to, clearly. I think that's pretty clear and simple. I mean, if you look at last week, there's probably 4 out of our first 6 that we thought may have been there at the start of the year that weren't out there. So that takes a bit of rejigging. It takes a little bit of understanding. I think Mitch has been a bit of a highlight. I think Darcy's been giving plenty. Jed works away at different roles that are different to others. We like to see Todd lift and play a little bit better for us too. And obviously we bring Jeremy back in to hopefully play at the level that he can play at. And if he does, we think that makes a significant difference. And if we get Willie out there as well, Willie's one of our most dangerous, I would have thought.
Is it a mental thing for Todd? Has he been able to get his confidence back from the injury that sort of derailed the
No, it's not. He gets good players, he gets good opponents, it's hard work, and if the ball's not moving the way it needs to move for Todd, that makes it much, much harder for him to execute at his level. He kicked 1 goal 3 on Sam Taylor, who, if he's not the best fullback in the comp, he's not far off it. So he's getting shots on great players, so he's going okay.
And the SANFL appealed today, but Charlie's appealing that. Do you have a view on that incident and the penalty? Yeah,
clearly we have a view as a club that we're very clear that we're not denying that he's made some contact. We're denying whether it's severe or high, and from our point of view, we think high was more than reasonable, and that's why we've gone back to the appeals to say, listen, we think you need to look at this again, and you need to look at it from these angles, and obviously whatever happens, we're going to miss Charlie from playing football for at least a couple of weeks in here.